How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today we're talking about 7 things you have to know before you move to Broomfield, Colorado, and we're talking about it starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett, and listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around the Denver metro area, then this is a channel for you. So that subscribe button and notification icon you see on your screen, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a little informative here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the Front Range's most talented realtors, and we are helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see, know that I'm always the person. Answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails. There, winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is the 7 things that you must know before you move to Broomfield, Colorado. It's been several months since we dove into Broomfield, Colorado, and as I was preparing for this video, I was having conversations with a lot of people who have lived in Colorado, if not all their lives, the majority of their lives. And what was interesting to me was how many people talked about Broomfield not being a very popular place as we grew up or a place you went to often. And so to see the growth that Broomfield has enjoyed over the last decade plus has been interesting to say the least. Broomfield is its own town and its own county. And it's one of the reasons that Broomfield has become, again, over that last 10 to 15 years, one of the most popular areas in the Denver metro for people to explore living. And the number one thing that stood out to me in these conversations was quality of life, how much people enjoyed living in Broomfield. And that was all walks of life. Certainly there is a family-friendly element to the town. You see that very quickly, especially on a warm, sunny day out, which Colorado gets several of, where there's just people out and about. They're walking down trails, they're out at parks, you see kids on different ball fields playing sports. There's just an energy to the community. But that was the answer that I heard through, again, all walks of life. I heard it from my single friends, I heard it from my friends that are in a relationship, I heard it from my friends that have kids. All walks, they really enjoyed living in Broomfield and enjoying the amenities in and around it. The second thing that was prominently talked about was how strong the economy in Broomfield is, and that's for several factors. Broomfield is certainly a community that has its own infrastructure to some extent. There's a lot of people who live and work within Broomfield. You're also, as we'll get into from a location standpoint, you have easy access to areas around you. So when it comes to economy, whether you're working from home, whether you're working in Broomfield, or whether you're working in the nearby cities, you have access to a lot of different career fields. And Broomfield is also strong in the tech space, among others, very strong. Tech companies starting up there, and there is a section of Broomfield called the Interlochen. It's along Route 36. And within the Interlochen, you have a headquarters for Staples, Oracle, Vail Resorts. You have Ball Corporation there, among others. So south of Denver, you have Greenwood Village and the Denver Tech Center. That was typically where a lot of our businesses and commercial buildings you would find there, office buildings, if you will. Broomfield has really taken up the second spot, and they might even be surpassing the Tech Center in certain ways with the Interlochen. Also has a great hotel and golf course up there. I always have to mention because I'm trying to become a golfer. We'll see how that goes. And it's not just tech. There's healthcare, there's finance, there's education. A lot of different industries in and around Broomfield help that to be a thriving economy. The third thing is the school systems, and that's always going to be important for people. Listen, whether you are buying, whether you are renting, whether it's you and a family, whether it's just you, schools always play a role in communities, home values, rent prices, etc. So to know that the Boulder Valley School District and Adam 12 Adams 12, excuse me, makes up the majority of the school coverage in Broomfield is important. Boulder Valley, typically one of the highest rated school districts. Adams 12 has several highly rated, 5-star schools within it. So education was highly regarded within Broomfield. I keep saying highly regarded. We got to come up with some new terms. Every video I find myself using a term over and over and over again. I'm not sure why. Highly regarded is just the one we're going to go with today. But really, a lot of positives coming from that. I'm just going to randomly give a shout out to Holy Family, the high school that was near and dear to my heart as a kid. They were not in Broomfield as I grew up. As I mentioned, Broomfield has expanded, has grown. So Holy Family is now up there. But within public and private schools as well as some charter schools. Fourth, and really playing off of that quality of life aspect, was the outdoor recreation. So you'll see a lot of green space in Broomfield. You have quick access to mountains, quick access to get out and about. And one of the cool things about Broomfield is that because of how large it is, you've seen some communities that were built kind of mid 1900s and later, and then obviously a lot of newer construction as we get into the 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s up to today. So there's a lot of differences in the communities you go to. You'll go to some old neighborhoods, kind of remind me of where I live in Lakewood, where maybe things weren't as thought out. They're nice neighborhoods, but you don't really have like trail systems that lead to different neighborhoods, that lead to different parks, all of those things. And then there's areas of Broomfield where that was very thought out. A lot of bike trails. You have a bike path that goes all the way from Broomfield up into Boulder along Route 36, a great trail to get on, and it goes all over the place. You can get up into the Flatirons. So if you're into mountain biking or street biking for that matter, you're gonna be all about it. And if you're into trails, whether that's walking, hiking, running, etc., you just have endless options in Broomfield. And the people that live there, the people that visit there, they couldn't stop talking about it. Fifth, and I probably could have led with this, but that was the central location. What's funny is that people were so caught up in a good way about the first four that I was like, you know what, normally we lead with the location. I'm just gonna back that one down. So Broomfield is, in my mind, perfectly situated between Denver and Boulder. You're far enough from either one that you're not overwhelmed with Denver and you're not overwhelmed with Boulder, but you can get from one to the other, and this is where I always get hit, between 30 to 45 minutes depending on traffic. You could have some days where that drive's a little longer, and you could certainly have times where that drive is shorter if there's no traffic and you like to speed, which I do. But really just nestled right in between there. Not all of Broomfield is on Route 36, and that's really the road, the highway that's going to take you down out of Broomfield in some instances and over into Denver, and 36 is typically how people get up into Boulder. One thing to keep in mind when we're talking about Broomfield is how large it is. Again, it is a big road. So as we start talking about housing in different neighborhoods, a couple of the neighborhoods we're gonna mention, for instance, are Anthem and getting up into Baseline. Baseline Road is farther north. So your drive to get down into Denver or your drive to get over to Boulder is going to be a little different because it might take you a minute to get over to I-25, the north-south highway, and shoot into Denver. So knowing how big Broomfield is, still very, very well located. And you're also pretty close to the airport. Even though it might look distant, you can typically get to the airport from Boulder, from Broomfield, in about 30 to 35 minutes. And then somebody's gonna tell me I get to the airport in 15 minutes from Broomfield, and that's fine. I congratulate you for how fast you drive. Sixth, and I started to talk about it already, and that is the housing options that Broomfield presents. And not just from, the different types of homes. Of course, you've got your condos, your apartments, your townhomes. But I mean, you have everything from smaller detached homes with 1 or 2 bedrooms to, massive houses sitting on golf courses. Some of the coolest neighborhoods I've seen, and I will list some of those neighborhoods as we get towards the end of this video. You have things, you have homes that were built, again, decades ago that have a lot of character. They're in older neighborhoods with, bigger lot sizes and more mature trees, in the yards and things like that. And then you can pull into communities that have been developed in the last, I'd say 10, 15 years, but in the last 5 years, in the last couple years, in the last several months. So anything you're looking for, whether you want a home that's been established, whether you want a brand new neighborhood where nothing even existed there a year ago, you can find it in Broomfield. And now your price points are going to be higher. I mean, as of the making of this video, you could see home prices between roughly $600 to $8,000 on the median. However, you know, that's the median. So you'll have some, and certainly when we're talking about condos or townhomes, you might find something below that 600 threshold. And as far as houses in general, townhomes included, you might find some, you know, well into the millions. There's some great neighborhoods and some pricey neighborhoods in Broomfield. And I think, you know, again, we talk about Broomfield, the market trends in a positive direction for Broomfield. It is a growing, thriving community. There's more, you know, more happening there, and people are very positive about its location. They're positive about the schools. They're positive about the economy of the area. So a lot moving in the right direction for Broomfield. And the last one, number 7, and listen, this easily could have just been number 6, etc., and that is new developments. And I think there's a difference between when we talk about housing options and you know, trends, and when we're actually talking about development. Because of Broomfield's size, and I would use Baseline as an example. So a common knock on Broomfield is that it doesn't have a downtown area, that you don't have a specific area that you go to that just has, you know, a strip filled with your shops and boutiques and things like that. Broomfield is not a highly walkable community for the most part. There might be little patches of areas, but for the most part, you're not living in Broomfield to walk around. Baseline is currently discussed as a community where they want to see some of that walkability. They want to create a downtown. I was up there just a couple weeks ago. I will admit to you, I still don't see downtown. I see great neighborhoods. Baseline and Anthem right there. Anthem's been around for a while now. And again, that's kind of a north/northwest Broomfield area. Anthem is an amazing neighborhood, a lot of great houses, and Baseline is growing fast. And so you'll see strips, you'll see shops, you'll see stores, but from what I can visualize so far, it's all along Baseline Road. So whether that will become a downtown area or even a walking mall, to be determined. I can't visualize it yet, can't see it yet, but some great developments in Broomfield, and certainly something you're going to want to consider. And to wrap, I wanted to make sure I gave you some great communities to look at within Broomfield. Certainly not all the neighborhoods, but some of the more popular. As I mentioned earlier, Anthem Highlands, located in North Broomfield. You're gonna have clubhouses and swimming pools and fitness centers, all types of different homes. It's a newer community, developed in the 2000s, so very recent. I mean, things to do, you got parks, you got shopping, you got dining over in the Orchard Town Center nearby. So a lot of things to do within Anthem. And then for schools, you're covered by Adams 12 5-star schools. And you got options like the Prospect Ridge Academy. Next up, you've got the Broadlands, located in West Broomfield. Great community there. Again, a lot of golfing, clubhouses, all types of homes to think through. The Broadlands was originally developed around the Broadlands Golf Course in the late 1990s, so obviously golf is a big thing there. It is pretty close to the Flatirons Crossing Shopping Center, which at one point was extremely popular. So obviously golf is a big part of the Broadlands, and then it's close to the Flatirons Crossing, so you've got some shopping nearby as well. And for schools, most of that neighborhood will be covered by the Boulder Valley School District. Again, highly rated school district in all of Colorado. Next up, you got McKay Landing. That's northeast Broomfield. I guess I'm kind of pointing the wrong way if I was looking at it. But anyway, McKay Landing, again, great community, developed in the early 2000s, filled with trails, parks, pretty close to shopping and dining, at least as far as Broomfield goes. And that's going to be covered by Adams 12, with schools like Meridian Elementary. Legacy High School is within that community as well. And a couple more for you. Wildgrass, located in Northwest Broomfield. A lot of luxury homes up in that neighborhood. Beautiful community, developed in the mid-2000s. Trails, parks, again, closer to Flatirons Crossing. Boulder Valley School District will cover Wildgrass. And again, one of the higher price point communities in Broomfield, and also home to Broomfield High School. Looking southwest, you've got not really an older community, but built in the early 1990s into the 2000s. Aspen Creek will be home to a lot of parks, a lot of trails, couple community centers. Boulder Valley School District covers it as well. And a couple last ones for you. So Arista is located in southeast Broomfield, kind of right off of 36, and it was home to the First Bank Center, an arena for sporting events, concerts, etc. That arena, unfortunately, has been closed down. It never really worked out. And Arista is, or was supposed to be, kind of a downtown area for Broomfield, with a lot of townhomes, maybe some apartments, condos, and then a lot of walkability restaurants, things like that. As of now, it never really took off. Arista was never really, not really what Broomfield wanted. However, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the community. It's not a bad community by any means. It's still very popular for people who live there or around it. It's pretty close to the interlocking as well, so you have access to those things. But it will be interesting to see what happens to the First Bank Center as they, most likely demolish that and move on from it. What will become of that area, because it takes out a pretty sizable chunk of that community. And last up, you've got Silverleaf. That's northwest Broomfield. Silverleaf was developed in the mid-2000s. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, most of Broomfield, there just wasn't a whole lot up there. I said mid-1900s, that's not even right. Talking into the late 1900s, like 80s, 90s, that's when Broomfield even really started to grow, and most of these communities were built within the last 20 to 30 years, if that. So Silverleaf really falls into that group. Silverleaf will include the Boulder Valley School District. And again, as you talk about some of these neighborhoods, some will be home to, so Legacy High School is technically also within Silverleaf or within that neighborhood. So some of these neighborhoods are really close to each other. Overall, that's just, 7 of the great neighborhoods that Broomfield has to offer. Tons on top of that. I could be here all day talking about them, but certainly a community you want to explore. But that's just the 7 things that I thought you needed to know about Broomfield because of how highly regarded it is. So that's a perfect opportunity for you to hit me up. Give me a call, text, email. I'm always the person answering those for you. Or by all means, leave a comment on the video. Always enjoy those for the most part. If you want to debate drive times, I'm all about it. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. That was 7 things you have to know before you move to Broomfield, Colorado. Until I see you next time, peace.